हेलो गाइस एंड वेलकम टू द चैनल। और आज हमारे इस एपिसोड में आपसे मुलाकात कराने जा रहे हैं हमारे शहर के एक वेटरन लॉयर एडवोकेट राजेंद्र हिरण साहब से। और आइए उनसे बात करते हैं, उनकी लाइफ के बारे में जानने की कोशिश करते हैं और जानने की कोशिश करते हैं कि आज इस मुकाम पर वो पहुंचे हैं, जो शहर में इतना बड़ा नाम उनका बना है, वो कैसे उन्होंने मेहनत की है और कैसे उन्होंने इस मुकाम को हासिल किया है। सर, सबसे पहले तो स्वागत है आपका चैनल पे, और आपने अपना कीमती वक्त से थोड़ा सा हमें वक्त दिया, उसके लिए शुक्रिया। सबसे पहले हम जानना चाहेंगे सर, और उदयपुर की जनता, जितने भी लोग आपको देख रहे हैं, सबसे पहले ये जानना चाहेंगे कि आपके सफर की शुरुआत कैसे हुई, आपके अर्लियर्स क्या रहे, अपनी फैमिली, अपनी एजुकेशन के बारे में थोड़ा सकते हैं।
देखिए, व्हेन आई वाज अ चाइल्ड, माय फैमिली हेल्स फ्रॉम अ वेरी हाई रेप्यूटेड फैमिली. My grandfather was double MSc LLB gold medalist of Allahabad University, and he was member of Mahendraj Sabha, which was the highest court in Mewar. He was member of that. My father was a very eminent lawyer of this Mewar state, and he was popularly known from practicing criminal side only. He had his juniors, 3 juniors were elevated in the Rajasthan High Court, and another very eminent lawyers from Mewar like Mr. B.L. Sarupriya, Madan Lal Ji Duppar, Bhagwat Bhandari, they all worked under my father for a couple of years. So our office initially is an office which produces a very high product. Now when I was a child, I was student of St. Paul's, Udaipur, and I was the only one boy who was student of this school in 1954. So from there I started my education. Although I was not a very bright student in school, but still I was pulling on. Now ultimately when I was in metric, that was 10th class, my father was very keen that I should continue in science and become an engineer. But I was not interested. I was poor in mathematics.
Okay.
So I said I will not continue this. But I was forced. I had to do my BSc in mathematics only. Then unfortunately I did not seek admission in engineering college. Then I joined Hindustan Zinc as executive officer. Then I went to Udaipur Cement Works as an executive officer. Then ultimately I resigned from both the places, and then I started my again education in law. So I was among those students who had topped the university almost, because I was in a second position in the Udaipur University. I had 17 distinctions in law papers.
Okay.
Out of 22 papers. Then I had chosen this career, and I knew that this career needs very hard work and vast reading in law. So I started practice with my father. He was a very hard taskmaster. I remember one of my life's episode that I came late in the office and he threw me out of the office, saying that if you want to come on time, otherwise don't come to office. So that was the initial stage when I learned how to be in discipline and work hard. I used to be in the office at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'd go at 10 o'clock. Reading and reading. I can assure you that whatever books I have in the office, I have gone through all of them, almost all the cases, leading cases. Then I was associated with my father for 15 years. The office was having roaring work in criminal side. So my father expired, and ultimately I was to take care of the entire office.
What was the age at that time?
I was around 27, and I was then initially, I remember of my life when I was appearing in the court for the first time. I was well dressed with the black coat and white shirt. I went to the Sessions Court because by then I came to office. My father gave me one file saying that you should argue this appeal. And I still remember, I have forgotten hundreds of cases, but I still remember that case. That was Fatehilal versus State. He was convicted for 3 months and 500 rupees fine. When I appeared in the court, the sessions judge asked me that you will be arguing this matter. I said, yes, sir. So the moment he asked me to start arguments, I was almost choked with the voice. Then I got nerve. I said, I am appearing in the sessions court. Then I started my arguments. Then I was appreciated by the honorable session judge. That accused was acquitted of the charge. I came down. I told my father that he has been acquitted. He was thrilled. On that day, he gave me 100 rupees.
That was the first
earning of my life.
Okay. और उस जो आपका केस था उसमें आपने उस आदमी को बरी करा
दिया
फर्स्ट बार में
फर्स्ट टाइम appearance in the court, first court appearance was that in the sessions court.
Okay.
Then I was encouraged. Thereafter I started my career very strongly. I was appearing in most of the cases which my father had, and I had conducted the trials, sessions trials, magistrate trials, and not only in Udaipur but in Chittor, Bhilwara, Banswara, Dungarpur, Rajsamand, Salumbar, all these places, even in Siroi, I have argued many matters. I have conducted many trials, sessions trials, and most of the cases are 302 IPC.
So what was the key, and what is the key actually? I can say
I would say that the key for a lawyer is vast reading of rulings, books, journals, and putting hard labor for the file on the facts. If you have good knowledge about the facts of the case and simultaneously if you have a legal knowledge, then your cross-examination will always be based on those rulings and you will be able to prove your case. So I had put both the things together by reading the files and preparing the case on case laws also.
So, do you remember any of your the cases which are very much challenging for?
You see, in Udaipur, most of the trials of serious offences was conducted by me, out of which few of them I will quote. It's very difficult to remember all the cases, but still, like in Bhopalpura, there was a Joshi family who owned a house, and one accused, Deepak Soni, along with 3 more, they went to that house, and that man was stabbed with knife and he died. There were 6 eyewitnesses who had seen the occurrence, and when the trial commenced, there were 5-6 lawyers on behalf of the complainant which were taken care of this case. I was one, and this was a case. Then ultimately that accused was acquitted. That acquittal was only on the ground because the cross-examination was in such a manner that those witnesses could not stand that cross-examination. Then there was another important case in Udaipur, that was Sagir murder, which was like a professional people committing an offence.
Okay.
He was at Rampura Choraya in a farmhouse. Accused went from there. Bosu was a famous guy. Jalam Chand was one of them. But ultimately they went there with the swords. When Sagir saw them, he wanted to run away, but they did not allow him. His hand was cut. Imputation was there of the hand. Ultimately he was murdered. These boys ran away from Udaipur. Ultimately they surrendered. There was a chaos in Udaipur so far as 2 communities were concerned. That trial was conducted by me, and the accused were acquitted of the charge. That was a very tough case.
All the accused
were acquitted, not even one. Then the other case was Nirbhay Singh, a college student who was murdered at Nehru Hostel by another group of local boys. So ultimately that trial took place. There were eyewitnesses. They could not stand the cross-examination. Before engaging me, there were other lawyers who were engaged, but then ultimately they also suggested them that you go and engage him. Then they came to me, they engaged me, and they were acquitted of the charge. Then one boy, Prem Singh, was murdered on the playground of MB College. Then that trial also was taken up by me. I was lawyer for Dalchand Chaudhary and others. There were eyewitnesses. They ultimately could not stand the cross-examination, and they were all acquitted of the charge. Then Prem Singh, after Prem Singh's murder, Dalchand Chaudhary was murdered on the same ground, in playground.
Okay.
And then I conducted the trial of those accused also. they were also acquitted of the charge. So like this, there were scuffles. Then ultimately there was a which was operating in Udaipur, Abdul Latif and party and local Mehboob and others.
Okay.
Iqbal and all other people, I was lawyer for them. There were 6-7 murders in Udaipur. I conducted the trial in all the cases. They were all acquitted of the offences. Likewise, a very important case which I realized in my life was a person, Rajendra Ojha. He committed murder of his wife and daughter. Ultimately, he joined his office. Without taking leave, he came to the house, murdered them by a big iron hatoda putting on the head, then locked the room, came out, went back on the service so that nobody could suspect that he could commit the offense because he was on duty. Ultimately, that murders were traced, and in a very scientific manner, the investigation took place by senior officers of the police department, and ultimately that case also failed, and he was acquitted of the charge. Another important case was there was a murder in Odvas, Kerala. A very nice person who was owner of a mines. He used to keep around 50 laborers and he used to provide them food also. I knew him personally, and one of these labor was rebuked by him, and he determined that I will commit an offense of murder with this man. He took a detonator, kept below his bed, and the string was taken around 200 feet in jungle, and there he burned the string, and ultimately that string went up. The blast was there, and he was into pieces. In that case, footprints were taken. The recovery of the stick was there. The recovery of string part was there. The investigation was done by Additional SP Udaipur, and that also failed, and he was also acquitted. His name was Harish Meena.
Accused.
Yes, and the complainant party was rich enough. They were from Nagaur. They appointed a special public prosecutor who was a very eminent lawyer of Udaipur in a criminal side, and ultimately they were expecting that he will be given death sentence, and I was confident that he will be acquitted of the charge. Then he was acquitted of this.
In this field, मतलब आप कैसे आपको
See,
लगा कि नहीं?
my father, I saw my father, the hard work which he used to do in the office, and he was the only person who inspired me to become a lawyer. And ultimately, he used to teach me off and on, despite my being in the profession for about 10-12 years, that look, if you don't work hard, if you don't read, you will never be successful in your life. So to become a good lawyer, you have to read a lot, you have to work hard on files and case law. Then only you can rise, otherwise it is a tough for the profession. Your knowledge on law, read journals, and then only you can rise, otherwise it is a tough task. Lawyer's profession is a sacrificing profession. Ultimately, it is a very hard profession. If you work hard, and if you can cope with the work, ultimately the sky is the only limit. My father was also a very eminent lawyer. I had 2 more brothers and 1 sister. My sister was also LLB.
Okay.
My elder brother is already practicing in Udaipur, Rajendra Singh Hiran. His son is also practicing in Udaipur, Devendra Hiran. My son is also in the lawyer's profession with me in my office, Ravindra Hiran. Then my eldest brother he was general manager in geology, Hindustan Zinc. Ultimately, he retired from there, and unfortunately, he left the world.
थैंक यू फॉर द इंटरव्यू, और हम आपके लिए यही दुआ करेंगे कि आप आने वाले बहुत बहुत सालों तक हमारे सर पे आप लोगों का साया रहे। आपको अभी बहुत सारे केसेस और लड़ने हैं और लोगों को एक्यूट कराना है फ्रॉम द केसेस। थैंक यू फॉर गिविंग
I am obliged. Thank you very much for the interview you have taken, and I hope this will suffice your feelings.
थैंक यू। तो गाइस, ये थे हमारे साथ हमारे शहर के सीनियर लॉयर एडवोकेट राजेंद्र हिरन साहब, और आई होप कि आपको उनको सुन के काफ़ी सारी बातों को आप अपनी लाइफ में उतार के इस लॉ की फील्ड में आगे बढ़ सकता है। अगर आपको ये वीडियो और इंटरव्यू अच्छा लगा हो तो आप ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों में इसको शेयर कीजिएगा, ताकि जो बातें, इंपॉर्टेंट बातें लॉ की फील्ड की सर ने बताई हैं वो लोगों तक पहुंच पाए। और एक लाइक ज़रूर दे दीजिए।